What was Palpatine? Palpatine. What was Palpatine's greatest deception? Two of them. There were two of his greatest deceptions. The first was planting dreams of his mom's distress in the furry little mind of Anakin Skywalker. Now, of course, it was up to him to also have his henchmen, or his henchmen's henchmen, also kidnap and actually torture the poor woman to truly, truly sow greater and greater seeds of division between the young boy and the Jedi Order. But wait, there's more. Additionally, Palpatine sowed seeds of dreams of Padme's death in childbirth. After his mom's death, Anakin became convinced that his dreams were 100% accurate, 100% prophetic, which caused him to be hyper suggestible when dreaming of his wife's death during birth, which made him prime to Palpatine's efforts to coerce, manipulate, seduce, and turn Anakin into Darth Vader. It has been observed not just by screenwriters, but by potentates and fiends spanning the length of human history, that the key to coercing someone is hypersuggestibility. And quite often the key to hypersuggestibility is to overwhelm them. And few things are as overwhelming as telling someone they must perform a task, but having that task be impossible. I'm a Jew, I'm a Yid, I'm a Heb, I had a bris, I had a bar mitzvah, I have a penchant for bagels. But I can appreciate a good Jew joke, and here's one you might have heard before. How do you make a Jew crazy? Put him in a circular room and tell him there's a penny in the corner. Now, clearly, I don't like the idea of the stereotype of the greedy Jew, but that is a funny joke. So what makes it funny is it's impossible. In a circular room, there is no corner. And to look for a corner in a circular room will be maddening if that which is desired is important enough to the seeker. So, how does this relate to you and I? The Buddha's teachings have been twisted, sometimes maliciously and deliberately, other times accidentally and stupidly. But they have been twisted. And one of the most popular teachings of the Buddha to be twisted is that of no self. The only way it's going to make sense is if I remind you of something that you were already taught, most likely in 4th grade. Not all statements are literal. Let's explore this by means of example. So would be let's see, do I have there we go. So not all statements are literal, many are figurative. And here's an example. John is tenacious. John is tenacious. That's 3-word sentence. It's a complete sentence. John is tenacious. Let's turn it into a simile. John is as tenacious as a dog with a bone. Let's convert that to a metaphor. John is a dog with a bone. Now, is it really wise to take that literally? Does John really prance about on 4 feet, bay at the moon, and sniff strangers' asses because such things are considered impolite in polite society? No, that's the word I'm looking for. Such things are frowned upon in polite society. That's a much better turn of phrase. Similarly, the main thrust of the Buddha's teachings was not a finer point of metaphysics, telling people they had no self. Au contraire, the Buddha's primary thrust was, when we look at the 7th and 8th folds of the Eightfold Path, was to notice and release. The more we do that, the easier it is for us to practice the 2nd, 3rd, 4th And fifth folds of the Eightfold Path, to have a loving intention and to be kind in our communication and our conduct and our commerce. That leaves one thing out, and that is the first fold of the Eightfold Path, right view. If you sit in meditation, you will notice your breath comes, you will notice your breath goes. Whatever sensations you experience in meditation, whatever sights, sounds, feelings, flavors, scents, whatever emotions, intentions, thoughts, memories, and imaginings, you will notice they come, they stay, they go. Nothing lasts forever. Just like the song by Oingo Boingo. Nothing lasts forever. And so impermanence is not some elusive doctrine to be comprehended by the elite few. We all understand impermanence. We have all seen the changing of the seasons. We've all seen the waxing and the waning of the moon. We've all seen the rising and the setting of the sun. And each of us has felt our lungs swell with breath and sink with breath's departure. Ever-changing, one and all, there is nothing permanent to grasp. This is nothing mystical. We observe impermanence all the time. And so when we relax during our exhalation, whatever we noticed during our previous inhalation could now feel as if it was as non-graspable as a vast empty void. It could feel as if it was as non-graspable as if it had been birthless or selfless or deathless. And we see those descriptions for what they are, not literal points of doctrine, but similes, with the potential of being metaphors, mere figures of speech to symbolically communicate the visceral experience which is available to us during each exhalation, the visceral experience that helps us to let go, helps us to let go of the survival impulses that, when in control of us, can make us foolish or even fiendish. I'd like to tie this up in a big red bow by sharing with you the fifth verse of the source text of Dzogchen, composed by Gaurab Dorje and known in Tibetan as Namka, as Dorje Sempa Namka Che, which translates into English as the total space of Vajrasattva. So let's just look at the fifth verse. The wisdom of greatness is difficult to find. It is realized through prajna and method. Though it could be said to depend on something else, real bliss originates from oneself. Method is simply this. Every time we inhale, whether we know it or not, thanks to it, we are wired to notice. Vulnerably, passively, viscerally, and randomly. Not actively concentrated, but passively notice, thanks to our sympathetic nervous system. And every time we exhale, thanks to our parasympathetic nervous system, we're wired for physical relaxation and mental release. That's it. That is the source of the wisdom of greatness. It's getting out of our own way and aligning our intention with the programming of our autonomic nervous system. Doing that is the greatest source of bliss. The bliss we seek, the sustainable bliss. All of us in junior high, most of us in junior high school, we're tapped on the shoulder by Mother Nature and told that it's time to shake hands with Mr. Happy. Most of us discovered greasy kid stuff, short-term bliss, to put it euphemistically. But what about long-term bliss? Well, you can't masturbate or make love all day long. You will chafe. But you can spend your life noticing and releasing. This is real bliss. And everything else the Buddha said is either a result of this or a way of explaining this. And so the whole idea of selflessness, our job is not to try to lobotomize ourselves. Our job is not to experience self-death or ego death. That's not the path. Our job is to simply notice and release. So, for instance, we could notice our petty child, our petulance as we breathe in. And as we breathe out, that petulance could feel as non-graspable as the ghost of Jacob Marley. That's it. The next breath, it's back again. The next breath, it's incorporeal again. Welcome to cyclic existence. The sun rises, the sun sets, the moon waxes, the moon wanes. The seasons come, the seasons go. Just like that song from Fiddler on the Roof, Sunrise, Sunset, which, by the way, is such a buzzkill. It's such a buzzkill of a song, but you get the idea. So the key to enlightenment is not trying to comprehend some mystical dogma. It's not trying to lobotomize our sense of self. The key to enlightenment is simply mastering the path of noticing momentarily and releasing momentarily. And as such, lovingly going with the flow. I look forward to chanting and meditating with you after approximately 40 seconds of housekeeping. This is Lama Jigme Gyatso of the Buddha Joy Meditation School. I'm still trying to get this wording down. For more than 30 years, I spent more than 8 hours a day, every day, studying, practicing, and reverse engineering all the teachings of each school of Buddhism, so you wouldn't have to. Let's see, today is Wednesday. I play the Qui-Gon Jinn to your Obi-Wan Kenobi to help you to quickly and easily become the person that your dog already thinks you are. Welcome to Meditate Like a Jedi, which is made possible due to the generosity of viewers just like you. We do not need to chant. We do not need to meditate. However, I find that people find it somewhat comforting, just as a sprinter has a visceral reaction to the sound of a starter's pistol or the sight of a finish line. It's been my experience, people like to start and end their meditation with a little chant. This chant is not meant to be a prayer to real or imagined entities, for such things make us into petulant children. These are simply words we play with to exercise our loving and enthusiastic intention. Or to put it, and that's what we call bodhicitta and refuge. So we're going to play with two recitations. The first is literal, and we're setting it to a triplet chant together. May I liberate all beings from the tyranny of hating, craving, and clinging by relying on thee. Buddha's example, instructions, and students. Whether the Buddha is real or archetypical, the example, instructions, and students have served humanity well, so much so that they've earned the nickname the three wish-fulfilling jewels, which are inferred in our final premeditation chant. It's more concise and it's more figurative, and we're setting it, and this is more of a recitation than a chant, and we're setting it to the bookend chant together. May I liberate all beings by relying on the three jewels. May I liberate all beings by relying on the three jewels. May I liberate all beings by relying on the three jewels. Together, let us meditate as transformatively as Obi-Wan Kenobi upon the toasty sands of Tatooine under the guidance of the Force Ghost of Qui-Gon Jinn. As children, one of our caregivers most likely bolted training wheels to our bicycle so that we would not plummet 24 inches to our doom. Although they were clunky, they served a purpose. Similarly, we're going to play, our first meditation is going to be clunky. It's going to be 12 syllables during the inhalation, perceiving this very turbulent play of mind, and 12 syllables during the exhalation, relaxing into mind's non-graspable nature. Now, let's dig in. Together as a team, let's chant the selections from the source text of Dzogchen, composed by Gaurab Dorje, also known as Prahe Vajra, titled "The Total Space of Vajra Sattva," or the Dorje Sampan Namka Che. It was translated by Adrian. It's translated from the Tibetan into the Italian by Chokiel Namkai Norbo, translated from the Italian into the English by Adriano Clemente, adapted and amplified by yours truly. Together. I pay homage to the Bhagavan glorious Vajrasattva. The total space of Vajrasattva is the ever good and immense ultimate dimension of phenomena. Being the pure total path that liberates all, it does not arise or cease, it does not think of anything. The path of enlightenment is not paved with contemplation. Being love and thus thoroughly accomplished, it does not practice great compassion. Being great, the profound qualities of greatness need not be praised. When we are consistent and effective practice of mindfulness and meditation, free us from the tyranny of fear and aggression, and cause us to become more and more empathetic, practicing love's centered spontaneity. Phenomena do not move the authentic condition, since self-originated wisdom is beyond searching. In liberating itself, it shows the path of liberation. This sounds too good to be true. We're wired to notice as we breathe in. We're wired to relax as we breathe out. That is how we traverse the path, giving ourselves permission to experience the full spectrum of human emotions and human sensations. The great elements or the Bhagavan that exist by nature in all beings. However wrongly it may be conceived, liberation originates from oneself and not elsewhere. Each of us has the capacity to be a thunderous shithead, and yet each of us has the possibility of mastering the Buddhist path, regardless of how thick and slow we might sometimes feel. We now remove the first of two metaphoric training wheels and transition from a 12-syllable exercise down to a 3-syllable exercise. As we inhale, we could silently and mentally recite, "Notice this." And as we exhale, we could silently and mentally recite, "Relaxing." Remember, if at any point you have a specific question about Buddhist meditation, Buddhist philosophy, or how to apply them, simply type your question in great detail in the chat window. Although this three-syllable exercise is sufficient 99% of the time, sometimes life is difficult. And sometimes our perceptions or experience beats us up like a schoolyard bully. When that happens, we can harness the turmoil of the present moment through the cunning and gentle use of labels. Labels such as the three-syllable labels such as appearance, resonance, sensation, this flavor, this fragrance, and internally emotion, intention, cognition, recollect, imagine. It's not our job to feed our neurosis by perfectionistly striving to find the perfect label at the perfect time. Life is messy, just like the best sex. Life is messy, just like feeding an infant. Life is messy. Give yourself permission to be inaccurate and have a learning curve. Trust me, it's more efficient that way. So for instance, right now my sinus hurt, so as I breathe in, I might play with sensation, and as I exhale, I might silently and mentally recite relaxing. We do not do this to make the pain go away, but to harness it, to allow the present moment turbulence to drive the gears and cogs of the metaphoric enlightenment machine. The wisdom of greatness is difficult to find. It is realized through prajna and method. Though it could be said to depend on something else, real bliss originates from oneself. The great miracle is not difficult or qualities and capabilities. Through subtle understanding of the authentic condition immediately arise from oneself. Who of us doesn't want to be a space wizard? Though we cannot become one literally, we can become one metaphorically through the magic, quote unquote, through the magic of love's centered spontaneity, which we access simply by noticing and releasing in harmony with our breathing. Meditation is relaxing without seeking. In the dharmata, what does not appear visibly. If one actively searches either for the dharmata or for something in it, the natural condition will never manifest. So there you have it. The basic definition of meditation is relaxing. We're not seeking, we're not concentrating, we're going with the flow, regardless of how messy it might be. The supremely sacred reality cannot be heard through the sense of hearing. Likewise, it cannot be expressed by the tongue, not even in the slightest. And now, whoops, wrong, yes. So now we're going to remove the second of two metaphoric training wheels and relax into the essential practice. As we inhale, we could silently and mentally recite the demonstrative pronoun this, and as we exhale, we could silently and mentally recite the monosyllabic verb ease, which is a synonym of relax. It probably comes as little surprise that when taking three-syllable labels and reducing them to their one-syllable counterparts, we must often rely upon poetic license. So for physical sensations, we might use the label form. For emotional sensations, we might use the word feel. For memories, in reference to memories, we might use the preposition then. And in reference to imagination, we might work with the verb dream. The suffering of beings is the bodhicitta that fully manifests while pervading all, without ever being moved. It abides equally just as it reaches of space. It is effortless to notice stressors in our life, be they circumstantial, physical, interpersonal, or mental. By noticing them and then relaxing as best we can during our exhalation, that gives birth to the conventional bodhicitta. The ultimate bodhicitta of the wisdom of letting go, but also the conventional bodhicitta that truly gives a flying fuck about others. That which is the equality of all distinctions is conceived by saying it is karma. Were it really under the power of karma, self-originating wisdom would not exist. Sometimes karma is used as a synonym of doomed or cursed. But we're not doomed or cursed. Even though we experience the full spectrum of perceptions and experiences, each of these can be experienced from a place of non-duality. For instance, instead of saying happy or sad, we can say, I'm experiencing an emotion. And instead of saying I'm experiencing pleasure or pain, you were saying I'm experiencing a sensation. These are not euphemistic lies. These are simply using non-dual adjectives to give us greater peace. The causes, the vajra has all these secondary conditions. Never having been born, it cannot be destroyed. Since it is the Buddhi essence that exists from the beginning, the ultimate dimension is not moved by the effort of thought. It's not our job to control or experience. Doing so does more harm than good. We all have a central nervous system that has evolved for empathy and perception and relaxation. By cooperating with it, life becomes heaven on earth. Meditative stability of supreme quality. Being real meditative stability is beyond the tyranny of thought. Without applying thought or purifying in accordance with nature, from thought itself wisdom springs forth. There is a great big fat ugly lie that if we're truly spiritual, we won't think or remember, we'll just perceive. But neither the Buddha nor Gaurab Dorje taught that. Thoughts will come, thoughts will go, notice them and relax. Coining the expression gateway to the subtle, they seek the path by isolating the mind, maintaining isolation in a secluded place. If we examine well, this is conceptual meditation. There is no need to practice austerities. There is no need to isolate ourselves habitually. Yes, we all like a spot of the old privacy every once in a while, but we do require some socialization because that's how we evolved. They coined the terms cause and effect, but both virtues and negativities dissolve completely. They say we will get out of this world and nurture supreme complacency in accepting and rejecting. Everything, we can notice everything, pleasurable and painful. We can let go of everything, pleasurable and painful. Life is simple. Attachment and non-attachment are the path of words, and something in the middle is the same like an echo. Happiness and suffering have the same cause, said Vajrasattva, Lord of Beings. This is not some naive command to ignore our visceral reaction to life's experiences, but to practice the key to non-duality, noticing and relaxing. Attachment and anger, take two. Attachment, anger, and ignorance arise from the path of enlightenment's total bodhi. The five sense objects of enjoyment too, are said to be the ornament of the Dharmadhata dimension. My friends, good news. We do not need to be, we do not need to practice asceticism. There is no need to fear pleasure. For it too can turn the wheels and cogs of the enlightenment machine. Space is beyond the arising of thought, and thought itself is like space. Without attachment from space dedication, one's great aims manifest as space. So this is fun. So the author is being playful. And he's kind of using a, the old Catholics saw a mystery wrapped in an enigma. That's what's going on here. We use spaciousness as a metaphor for that which we experience when we physically relax in harmony with our exhalation. But we're also saying that after we notice thought during our inhalation, once we relax, thought can, whatever our thoughts are, pleasurable or painful, positive or negative, could feel as non-graspable as space, which is fun. It's just a fun way of stacking similes. So here's the cool thing. We don't have to manifest as an act of dread and desire, pushing and pulling, craving and shoving. We will notice all those things as we breathe in. We will relax into all those things as we breathe out. In doing so, we experience the spontaneous fulfillment of wishes. Not always when we want, not always how we want, but in the way that is the most sustainable, which is mind-blowingly cool. Thought-free equality is the Dharmakaya mastery of awareness and letting go. So I'm going to put this right here. Oops, I guess not. I'm going to put this here. Oh, can't do that. Okay, let's continue. Like the moon's reflection in water, it cannot be grasped. Through the energy manifestation of Samanta Bandra, the Ali Kali or vowels and consonants are profoundly displayed. We live in an interdependent world where things can affect us, even sounds can affect us. But we still notice that effect and the cause of the effect as we breathe in and then relax as we breathe out. Through the beautiful upon the emanated branches, the sphere of experience of the whole world, the profound voice of the Buddha arises. Yes, some syllables can feel powerful, but the real voice of the Buddha is not found in mantra, it's simply found in the love and letting go that are our evolutionary birthright, simply through the practice of noticing and releasing in harmony with our inhalations and exhalations. Wonderful the sphere of experience of the Buddhas is not a place to be found by searching, and like the phenomena of the six senses, it is also not an object we should grasp after. Those who search for it are like the blind reaching for the sky. If we chase after the bluebird of happiness, we will wind up with pigeon poop on our forehead. Let us practice awareness and release from centered spontaneity. And remember, the journey does not lead to a destination. When practiced properly, the journey is the destination. And if that seems confusing to you, ask me and I'll gladly elaborate. The gradual path of purity that leads higher and higher does not correspond to the nature behind action. Were there really a path to tread just like the bounds of the sky, one would never arrive. There are two types of teacher. Those like the Buddha, and those like the Buddha's cousin Devadatta. Those like Devadatta were all about a gradual path that takes a very long time and requires great effort. Those great teachers who are like the Buddha talk about a quick path, an easy path, the path of now. the path of immediacy. The authentic condition being thus by being shown as it is attained. As it is the very essence, its manifestation arises from it. Oh, how marvelous! You've already had the good fortune to receive the instructions and to be told that we are already wired to notice vulnerably, passively, viscerally, and randomly during each inhalation. And you've also already been taught that we're already wired to physically relax and mentally release during each exhalation. Congratulations, you've received the pointing out instructions. Time past and time present, or the authentic condition that is complete in its own place. Likewise, its path is the same, less is its very nature. We are allowed to recall. We are allowed to fantasize. Anyone who tells you you can't is creating for you a gilded cage. The universal path that is the same as that is like the moon in the basis of its reflection. As it is the absolute equality of all, it is not realized with a limited view. Despite the squawkings of Devadatta, the path is not paved by being rigid, fearful, controlling, elitist, cryptic, competitive, and cruel, but instead by being flexible, loving, laid back, lucid, cooperative, and kind. Present bliss and later bliss are what is directly experienced and what ensues from it. Since they imply the defect of an aspect, one should not rely on them. Bliss, like a kitty cat, does not respond well to being chased. Be still, and it will come to you. The three times are one without distinction, without past or future, it exists from the beginning, since all pervaded by the Dharmakaya, that is the mastery of awareness and releases the same. It abides in nature's total greatness. Once again, we're allowed to remember, we're allowed to fantasize. Finding oneself in the three realms of existence, all is just a name and a magical illusion. Even the great status of a Chakravartin universal king, being a magical illusion, is noble to purify. Purify of what? Purify of our, simply notice and release. That's it. We purify our tendencies to shove and reach, to push and pull, not by repressing them, but by noticing them and relaxing into them. Whether we experience the lifestyles of the rich and famous or that of the nebbish. For those whose attitude depends on time, it does not manifest in time. If one practices with an aspiration without being free, the saying on the characteristic of emptiness applies. Our task is simply notice and relax. That is why Dudjam Jigdral referred to a yogi as happy, spontaneous, and at ease. Oh, spontaneous, carefree, and at ease. That's the phrase. It is one totally beyond an aspect. The yogi dwells in the pathways of birds in the sky. In the essence that never occurred and that never originated, where all phenomena are supposed to exist. Whatever we notice, we can release by relaxing, by living in harmony with our breath. Outer and inner, or both the outer is the inner. The profound is not an object of understanding, not even a part of it. Existence is only a name, the power of mistaken existence. Thus one remains separate from the equality of meditation. Labeling is not a tool, it's not a destination. Simply using highfalutin religious terminology does not a Buddha make. In it, the outer and inner samayas abide in the nature of the aggregates and sense bases. Since in the three times no one is ever separate from it, there is no need to ever use the word samaya. So, there is no need for vows. The ultimate morality is simply nonviolence. That is the natural result of regularly noticing and relaxing. Immovable, it is the symbol of the body. Unshakable, it is wisdom. Not taking hold of anything, it has no self. Not rejecting anything, it has the quality that transcends words. So whether we are interested in non-duality or no self, simply noticing and relaxing is the quick path. Notwithstanding what, whose, and where, all that one uses and enjoys arises from oneself. Here of males and females the king of equality has never spoken. Either gender or sexuality as something we should get hung up on. Folks is folks, let's love everybody. Here there is no mention of something to accomplish by means of resolute, forceful conduct. Be it, but it is deemed that possessing the upon the bliss of magical delusion arises. Let's keep it simple. Let us live our life in such a way. The meditation is an act of hedonism. Since nature cannot be defined in one single way, it appears according to how one looks at it. Even the bliss from the effort and the wish for its manifestation is a great hindrance and defect. I kid you not, one of my teachers used to scold me, you're so greedy for enlightenment. It took me a long time to understand what they meant. In all these secondary methods for Buddhi enlightenment, one meditates on the attributes of a tantric archetype like the moon's reflection on water. But even if something untainted and unattached results, such meditation is like the sphere of experience of an ordinary person. Ooh, something just occurred to me. That and that. Okay, gotcha. So, let us not squander our lives taking metaphoric teachings as literal and exhausting ourselves with visualizations. Although by identifying with the body of the great wrathful one archetype, with its body wrathful grimaces as well as attributes, with even the suitable concretely actualize the authentic condition of the acquiescent state is not seen. Neither concentration nor visualization serve us well. Just as the top of a palm tree is cropped and just as a seed is burned by fire, likewise the dominion of powerful emotions may be prevented, as some have taught. All the hundreds and thousands of methods, according to one practices, bear their specific fruit. But since enlightenment is beyond conceptual characteristics, it is not manifest from these abodes. We do not have to resort to austerities. We don't have to punish ourselves for painful emotions. We can bring them into the path and benefit from them dramatically. If you've just joined us, welcome aboard. The moment you have a specific question about Buddhist meditation, Buddhist philosophy, or how to apply them, simply type your question in great detail in the chat window. Good fortune has the yogi who abides in this indescribable state, for by not discriminating between self and others, the magical illusion of self-perfection manifests. As nothing is excluded, it is perfectly complete. It is unchanging and remains straight. Boundless like space, it is not a phenomenon. Take two. Boundless like space, it is not a phenomena that depends on something else. We don't need accoutrement. We don't need tchotchkes, both physical and mental. We don't need endless outlines and goals with sub-goals. Just sit and notice and relax and watch as enlightenment presents itself to you. The spontaneously existing total bliss arises from one's recognition through the very power of incomparable wisdom. Reality does not originate from anything else. Just notice vulnerably, passively, viscerally, and randomly in harmony with your inhalation. And physically relax and mentally release in harmony with your exhalation. It is easy and difficult. It is difficult because it is easy. It does not manifest directly, but is all-pervading. Not even Vajrasattva can point it out with a name saying this is it. To actively scrutinize and examine our experience, like a cat poised to jump upon a mouse or pounce upon a mouse. Oh, that rhymes, I guess. Pounce, mouse, almost. Anyway, we will exhaust ourselves trying to figure out, this is it, that's it, I'm done, I'm awesome, I've accomplished it. Just enjoy the path. Enlightenment will take care of itself. This amazing, marvelous energy manifestation is beyond action and equal to space. From the ignorance that does not conceptualize anything, it immediately arises within oneself. So, whatever we experience has momentum. Whether we experience a perception, an emotion, an intention, a cognition, a recollection, or an imagining, they all have momentum. Use the perceive the momentum, relax into the momentum, let it. It's like being at the beach. If you stand up and a wave hits you, it's going to knock you on your tuchus. However, if you relax, you can surf the wave. You can body surf, and it's a lot of fun. Life can be very much like that. This is the path equal for all, that naturally abides in all beings. But since ordinary people are deluded due to defilement, it is like a doctor when it is like when the doctor has to find the medicine. It is not our job to remedy our experience. It's a job to notice it and relax. In the domain of understanding is total bliss. That itself is like the utterly pure land of Auntie, when lights concentrate from all sides. The four directions at the intermediate ones in the above and below are produced. From the indefinite colors of the rainbow, the features of the five Buddha families manifestly appear. Likewise, the moving particles in the unmoving environment, but it is superior to the five elements. Okay, there's a lot going on here in these two verses. Let's explore it. Whenever we inhale, we are experiencing a pneumatic coalescence. Whenever we exhale, we are experiencing a pneumatic release. Sometimes we feel this physically, sometimes we feel it energetically, sometimes all of the above. At the time this was originally written, oh so many centuries ago, there was great enthusiasm for embodiment, whether elaborate or those pertaining to the five Jnana Buddhas. What this is saying is there's nothing mystical that can be reached by performing these elaborate visualizations. Whatever we experience, whatever we perceive as we breathe in, is already transformed into whatever is as awesome as one of the first five Jnana Buddhas simply by relaxing when we breathe out. Whether we're noticing a physical element, such as space, wind, fire, earth, or water, or whether we're noticing the five so-called mental poisons. So here's how that works. As we breathe in, we might notice shoving, reaching, clinging, pride and competition, or confusion, clinging, and competition. But as we breathe out, as we relax, we experience mirror-like wisdom, discerning wisdom, the wisdom of the basic space of all phenomena, all-accomplishing wisdom, equalizing wisdom. So, noticing and releasing is the great dynamo. Just as a conventional dynamo transforms mechanical energy into electrical energy, whatever we perceive becomes the path of enlightenment simply by noticing and relaxing. Hopefully, in time, I will be able to explain this with fewer words and greater comprehension. It is not abide in the designations of past, present. Try this again. It does not abide in the designations of past, future, and present, not understanding that it is not arising nor ceasing, that itself is the integration of the three times into the total state. Labels are not our friends. It's enough to just notice and release. Let me rephrase that. Forcing ourselves to live in the gilded cage of the now, ignoring or repressing the past, the recollections or fantasies, cannot serve us well. Being equal, there is nothing to arrange ritually. Being one, it is beyond dedicating something in a direction. Although the ornaments of accumulated offerings are arranged, since they exist by nature, there is nothing to arrange. There is no one to offer. There's no one to receive the offerings. There are no offerings. Let go. Go with the flow. Being spontaneously present, it is beyond dedicating. Pure from the beginning, it is nectar. The 12 sense bases are not to be particularly focused on with special intention. The Buddha in the Dhammapada is recorded as teaching against ritual. There is no need to actively concentrate upon the 10 labels we referred to previously. Sometimes you might play with them, sometimes you may not, but do not cling to them. They flow, they come, they go, notice and release. The intention of the mind, they don't erase all through the power of perception. In the CD accomplishment that arises from having seen balance, meditation is perfected. Once again, offerings are not necessary. Notice and relax, and everything takes care of itself. Keeping it for an instant is union. Experiencing pleasure is samaya. Performing the dance movements of method. The union of non-duality is often. To simply notice and release, and allow that to generate love's centered spontaneity, is the essence of all vows. Giving, withholding is the Dharma cake offering. Being beyond action, all activities are completed. Since non-conceptual wisdom eliminates obstructors, balanced meditation without speaking is the mantra. Let's pretend there is that or those who obstruct our spiritual practice, whether actual or metaphoric. We do not need ritual. We do not need mantra. Noticing and releasing is the ultimate spiritual protection. Making offerings due to Guru generosity and all the other meritorious deeds, without the power of detachment and imperturbability, become a great bondage. Any organization or teacher can benefit from financial support, but that is not their main quest. And if you cannot afford to support someone, and simply offer them your application of their teachings. And if they are good-hearted, that will delight them. Therefore, that which is expressed in this teaching becomes obscured when one tries to work towards it. Being thus, if it is conceptualized, it will never be realized. The path is not paved by pseudo-intellectual skullduggery. Nor is it paved with ascetic effort. Oh, how deliciously ironic it is that the easiest path is the quickest path. Let us seal our practice with a bit of the old chanting, beginning with kind ethics and concluding with the four immeasurables. May all beings practice of kind communication, conduct, and calmness flow spontaneous and uncontrived. May everyone be free from misery, may everyone be happy, may no one be separated from the happiness. May everyone have balance from the tyranny of hating, craving, and clinging freed. If you feel that I have earned it, you could give this live stream a thumbs up. You could also help support this channel. In approximately 10.5 hours, I would very much like to return to lead today's evening meditation class and group practice. And if you are as geeky as me, this is the way.